Hello there guys, it is QwertyAfro. Welcome back to another video. Today we're back in Train Simulator Classic, and this is a DLC or route, train, whatever map that I actually really wanted to do when it actually did come out. Thank you to the folks at Dovetail Games for sending me a key for this. As you know, I'm part of the Dovetail Ambassador Program, so I get like some keys and stuff like that thrown my way so I can do like content for you guys. And this was one of those ones when it did come out. I did request a key for it, and I've been meaning to do it because it was one of these kind of routes that this interests me and I want it on the channel and I want you guys to see it. You've probably already seen it, but it is the Glasgow Subway. It is been out for some time now. I think a couple of months or something like that. But I think it came out in July or something like that, or June. It came out in the summer essentially. But I'm finally getting around to it because I've covered this in Metro Simulator, where they put in the map already into the game as an update in one of the like previous updates. You could only drive the 1973 stock on it, and then they actually put the actual Metro Camel. I think it's the MB303 or something. I don't know what the stock is actually called or what's its like sort of official name, but it's like the Glasgow Subway tube stock or Metro Camel stock that was made for the Glasgow Subway. As you know, it's a much more narrower dimension than a typical tube train, like a deep level tube train stock. I think it's like sort of what's the width of a normal tube train? I think it's something like 2.3 meters. This is almost like just under 2 meters or around just 2 meters or something like that. Like maybe even 1.8 meters. It's very narrow. I know if I went on this train in real life, I would be like, because I'm just above 6 foot tall, I would probably feel quite cramped. On certain tube lines, I do feel cramped. Even like when I ride on the Bakerloo line, I sometimes feel a little bit cramped. Sometimes at the door if it's like a busy train or whatever. But I would definitely feel cramped on this train. Anyway, I'm doing a outer service for you guys today. I picked this scenario. It's not one of the Korea scenarios. I think it's a scenario off the workshop. I will leave the link down below if you guys want to try it out yourselves. We're essentially doing an outer service starting from Govan, and I do believe we then drive back into the depot. I think we do like two circles and then go back to the depot, something like that. We'll see how it goes. Hello driver, please set up the cab and continue manually to Patrick before engaging ATO. You have permission to pass signal number 201 if displayed at a danger aspect. And another thing with this route is that you can drive an ATO, which I didn't know. I thought these older trains, or I thought this route in real life was actually just driven manually. I'm guessing you can drive it manually because there is a sort of protected manual option, and there are actual, line side signals, visual signals to, follow. But I never knew that these trains were actually driven in ATO, or if that's sort of the standard practice, or maybe there's times where maybe when it's like peak time service, it's ATO, and then when it's off peak, maybe manual. I'm not too sure. Someone let me know down below. Right, we're in this cab. As you can see, my FOV is quite large. So with this cab, not too much to do. It's essentially just get the handbrake off. We put on the saloon lights. And then essentially, because we're going to have to drive to the first station of Patrick, we have to slap the reverser. It doesn't show like on the actual HUD properly, but we have to slap the reverser in F, which is for protected manual. What I like as well is that this train keeps, even if you're driving in protected manual, it has free speed settings. I know all speeds are in kilometers per hour for some bizarre reason. I don't know if that's like that in real life, but if it is, that's a bit weird. It has like either speed settings of 18 kilometers per hour, 35 or 54, and even if you're driving in protected manual, and say if you're coasting, the train will actually brake to keep you at that sort of set speed, which is something I quite like. Anyway, we can go out. This is one of those maps that are like in the underground sort of setting, but you can do free cam in the tunnels. Not in the tunnels when the train is driving itself, but you can do a free cam in the station. There are different views as well in the train. where you just have to go from the main sort of like cab position and just cycle through the cameras to get to the passenger view, not press like normally what you do, press 5 for its own sort of dedicated passenger view. But overall, what I'm seeing, it looks really nice. The train is pretty detailed. I'm not too sure if there's actually a branding patch that there is available for this train. I don't know if anyone would like to let me know, and then maybe in the future I might just download it, update the branding for this stock, and then maybe do an inner line video at some point in the future where we have a nice skin or something to put onto this train. Anyway, we're going to continue to Patrick. We're not stopping here or opening doors here, so we'll just get on. Other than that, in terms of setting up the train, we'll leave the cab lights on dim, because you'll see once we go into the tunnels it's going to be a bit dark. I'm going to turn on the instrument lights. I'm going to turn the headlights on, which will also automatically turn the tail lights on at the back. I think that is essentially it. Let me just zoom in one more time so the FOV's at a sort of reasonable zoom in. We don't want it too out, because this game still suffers this kind of thing. When you're zoomed out too much with the FOV, it kind of clips the side, as you can see here, and I don't particularly like the visual look of that. So other than that, let's do a little toot on the horn, or whatever depot whistle that is, and let's get rolling. Now, what's kind of good with the sort of geography and kind of gradient of this route is that, similarly to where I drive, if you don't know, I'm a train driver in real life. I drive on the Elizabeth line, and the way that the tunnel's there, and it's very similar to what I can see here with the sort of like topology of the kind of like gradients, is that when you leave a station, the train kind of dips down into like a depression, or like it goes into a decline, and then it goes into an incline when it's going up, so it can help with braking with the train. And that's exactly how, I don't know if this is obviously this system, because this is a very old system, it's one of the oldest underground systems in the world. But I don't know if that was sort of like, you know, thought through when it was first being designed. The Elizabeth line, of course, was designed to have that in mind. So when I'm not driving, it's ATO similar to this in terms where essentially the train decreases speed with the incline, with the gradient, and it just helps basically with basically not wearing the brakes too much. Beautiful. Well, almost. That was very close, though, in terms of being sort of a near miss. But as usual with Train Sim, it's slightly clipping off the actual platform, so the first doors won't unfortunately open. But that's okay with me. I will take that as a win here, starting at Patrick. But what we can actually do now is in the cab, we can slip into auto, and then essentially I don't know what to actually leave the brake controller in. I don't think you need to particularly leave it in anything, or I think you might have to leave it in coast. But if I press ATO start now, yeah, okay, I think you need to leave it in an off position and then press ATO start. No? Well, I'm gonna help it along, I guess. I still don't understand too much of how this ATO system sort of like works by itself. I did the tutorial and it was kind of a bit iffy. It was just like it would sometimes do it and sometimes not, and it breaks. That's the one thing that's the most important thing. It does break at a station. Well, our next station here, Kelvin Hall, hopefully have it brake by itself. But I think I leave the brake traction controller thing, or dead man's handle, even if it is would it be classified as a dead man's handle in this stock? I'm not too sure. But I would leave that in coast or in the off position. But we'll see now if we actually start slowing down. Yes, we are. So the ATO is functioning as it should. And the train's now kind of crawling into the station. I'm going to give it a little nudge. See, this is the sort of temperamental thing with this ATO on this map. I'm not too sure how it works, like, properly. It's a bit weird. It sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. I know I had to drive manually to the first stop in this scenario, but even then it's a bit like I probably might have set it up wrong, but there we go. So it stops. It does the job. What it's supposed to do, but it's sort of like the inner workings, the in-between kind of parts a little bit, sort of like it's temperamental, and that's fine. Like, look, if worst comes to, like, if the worst case scenario happens, I just take control and I give it a little kind of like boost. I know, like, back in the day when it was the 1967 stock on the Victoria line, I know the ATO was not as, sometimes near the end of the cycle of the 1967 stocks, it became a thing where drivers had to intervene with the brake because the ATO wasn't as accurate near the end of the life cycle of those trains. So if I press start now, see, this is the thing. So, do I have to press ATO start and then just... do I have to leave it in something? And then it will just... I would hope it would brake. That's what I assume. So let me see, if I leave it in, like, in a power position, will it still brake? Because it's not braking right now. This is going to be a sort of test trial error thing here. Yeah, I don't think it works properly. But wow, damn. Oh wow. Oh my god. I will take that. I have to say, these compressors on these trains are just fully on all the time, it seems. But see, that's weird. Like, why is it doing that? So if I put now... if I leave it in series... and then press ATO start, then it should gain... like, so it's like I have to leave the brake traction controller in power for it to gain power in ATO, and then I have to take it off and have it in sort of like the brake kind of position. So see, now it's not moving even though it's in series. So I'm assuming I just tap the ATO start, and then yeah, it goes. That's a weird one. Let me know, guys, in the comments down below. Am I doing this wrong? Am I complicating the system here? Would it be just better if I just drive it manually? But I want to try and be as authentic as I can to driving it in, well, not driving it in ATO. And this sort of reminds me of my kind of like day job. If I'm driving in, if you don't know, the part of the Elizabeth Line Crossrail purple train that's in the central operating section that goes between Paddington and Abbey Wood, that is all CBTC, it's all automatic train operation. So essentially once the train is in that sort of system, so I'm going to just switch off here now, just so I'm focusing on but the brakes are fantastic. The ATO brakes on this are like, I didn't think we were going to actually stop for that station, but we did. So it brakes quite early here. Hopefully that should be enough. Yeah, that's perfect. That's excellent. I can't complain with that. Essentially, my job, yeah, it's essentially the train just drives itself, it comes into the station, it even opens the doors by itself, which I think is a new thing in terms of for any sort of automated or ATO sort of operation. I think in the UK, I think the only other like place that actually has some sort of something implemented when it's working properly is Thameslink. Thameslink have, once their trains are like on ATO in their core, the doors open by themselves. I don't think they close. I think that's still not been like, even though there is actually an option where the train can close the doors by itself, but I think that's still like a safety check that a driver needs to do, and you know, check if the dispatch corridor is so if I leave it like that and then ATO, perfect. I do like the detail of the cab. I like the sounds. I love the actual lighting on this map, because one thing that I've had really annoyances in Train Sim is and even in Train Sim World, is the sort of lighting in tunnels is shocking. I get that you're not supposed to see stuff, and in real life there are like train units that have really bad lighting, and you don't really see much in tunnel conditions, but you should be able to see a little bit ahead, and I love the way in this game the lighting effects in the tunnel. It's really nice. Like I can just see a nice kind of halo of light that lights up the tunnel, and to me that's like good enough. Like I can see, I don't have to see everything in detail, because obviously it's dark in a tunnel, and these are like, you know, unless they're like bright LED lights, they're not really going to light up anything. Anyway, we're approaching into St. George's Cross, so we kind of crawl up to the stopping position wherever this ATO, I don't know if it's like Belize's or beacons or something, or if it's just geographical the way the ATO works on this system. I have no clue. As I said, I didn't even know that this system had ATO, but you know, we learn something new every day. Another train coming in. Do a little snappy snap. We don't know yet where the thumbnail for this video might come from. Contender right here. Quite nice. Maybe a little off to the side here. That's quite nice. 2 trains in one shot. Right, let us... Now, one thing I don't know is I actually don't know what if there's actually a hotkey for the ATO start. I should have read the manual. But you know, sometimes... But what we're going to do is we're going to be a bit quite bootleg here, and we're just going to go in and do it like that. I think that's good enough. Good enough for a little outside cam departure here at St. George Cross. Next station is Cowcaddens, if I'm saying that right. I have to say the sounds as well. I have to say the sounds in this are almost spot on. I definitely hear very much the sort of Metro Camel sort of sounds that you hear on like the 1972 stock, or even 1973 stock on the Piccadilly line. Obviously it's the same manufacturer that built all these trains, and you can definitely hear it. I can definitely hear sort of quintessential stuff that happens in the tunnel, the echoings of like the traction motors, the squealing and flanging of the wheels. I'm so far like, and as well the detail. And the only thing I've ever had to drive on the Glasgow Subway has been yeah, I think I shouldn't leave it in power. If I leave it in power, it kind of doesn't know what to do with itself. Because when I put the traction brake controller in power, it kind of overrides the braking of the ATO, if that makes sense. So I don't know, I should have maybe read the manual, but I did the tutorial and it seemed pretty simple in terms of what you had to do. But obviously when I press ATO start, and if the thing's in the off position, it doesn't do anything, so it has to be in the power position. But then if it's in the power position and it needs to brake, the train won't brake. So it's kind of like a compromise sort of thing here. Anyway, let's have a look at what we're actually doing here. So we're kind of, yeah, we're going round, and then essentially we're kind of, yeah, I think we're go over and out. Yeah, we're doing two hours and then going back to sort of like depot. Let me slap that and get the ATO start going as we leave Cadans, if that's how you even say it. I apologise right now to any sort of Scottish people out there. Obviously, I'm not a native Scottish person, so the words themselves don't come as naturally as they could to me. But look at do you hear all of this? The compressor, I don't know, there's maybe an alternator there, the flanging, the echoing of the tunnels. If anyone rides the Glasgow Subway, tell me what are is the sound ambience good? Because for me, what I'm hearing in my headphones is quite nice. It's quite authentic. Definitely sounds good. So now if I leave it off, that should be fine. It'll hold the speed. If I'm seeing a lower gradient, I'm just going to shut it off. It'll gain speed if it needs to with the ATO system. And now, look at this. It comes in fast. But look at that. Look at that braking. Wow. That's so good. I'm actually fairly impressed with that. I'm fairly impressed with this. That's really good. That's really, really good. Also like that for a screenshot there. The light, honestly, the lighting in this game is so, I don't know, even like say in a tunnel like this, the train's lit nicely. It's pretty much spot on. And let's say the detail of the stations is really nice. As I said, the only thing I have to go on is what I played in Metro Simulator, which obviously isn't the best sort of comparison because that game's quite basic in terms of the detailing in the stations. But even there, it was a nice little play around. But I'm getting a lot more better like sounds, and it feels just a lot more authentic. As we leave Buchanan Street, next is St. Enoch. I wonder if you can actually play with any other sort of stock in this game, like in this sort of like map, because that would be quite interesting if you could just fit any sort of large, bigger gauge train in these really, really tight tunnels. And obviously, what's happening with the Glasgow Subway is that they're going to be getting some new trains soon as well. So cute little, small little Stadler trains. Man, that whine that you hear, that is so like authentic, like Metro Camwell sort of kind of whine. It's almost like quite it's quite powerful. But that's so like Metro Camwell, like any sort of their stock has that kind of nice kind of whining sound. I don't know if it's just like the heat extractor fans or something. I'm not too sure. These trains are so cute. The maquette's really nice. The sort of SPT orange. It's a cute little system. All right, let's do a little departure in. Let's get that, and then let's. Can I? Yep, I can do that. Let's do a little departure in the interior view, in the passenger view, because we can do that. There's no, is there any sort of like vigilance device on these trains or any safety systems in terms of like to keep me like, I guess there's a dead man's handle with the traction brake controller, or the dead man's handle, if it's called, you can call that on these trains. Right. Even the off position. But man, the way these trains hit the platform, like this really reminds me of how like the class 3, 4, 5 trains that I drive in real life. Okay, this time it over braked for some reason here at Bridge Street. That's fine, we'll just crawl up. Will it automatically brake? No. I have to put in the off position as normal. One thing that it's very similar, the sort of characteristics that I'm seeing between like how I see the class 3 for 5s that I drive when they're in ATO is these trains in ATO, because obviously that's all the braking is automatically managed by basically a computer. It hits platforms or hit the entry speed into stations is a lot higher than what a driver would normally. Are we like moving backwards? I think we are. Yeah, we are. Look at that. Even though I'm like on brake, but that's like a train simulator thing. That's always been like that. Anyway, let's get that. Slap that on. Bridge Street, next station, West Street. But as I was saying, these trains hit the platform a lot faster now when they're in ATO. They have, obviously, because they can calculate the brake curve all done by a computer, they have all the brake curves for all the stations geographically, so they'll just know that they can brake at such a later maximum than say what drivers are manually taught to drive trains. It's more like we drive on feel, and we tend to like obviously drive and enter stations at a much like more conservative speed to be able to control this train a lot more effectively when coming to a stop. While ATO doesn't care about feel and like where the train is in relation to the stop marker. It will literally use the most brake it needs to, because it knows it can. It has all of the braking capabilities of the train at hand. It knows it can apply all of it or a bit of it, and that's how it is. And let me tell you, it was a bit to get used to when we started driving in the tunnels. We started like I think last year, like middle of last year, May 2021 is when we started officially like trial running, where we basically ran ghost services and did trial sort of services by ourselves. No passengers, no platform stop or anything like that. It was just drivers driving empty trains up and down. Honestly, it was a interesting kind of change to get used to. Obviously, you have people like tube drivers that drive or have ATO trains since the start or whatever. But for a mainline driver to kind of like be driving mainline, doing everything like manual in terms of speed and braking, and then just watching the train that you've always driven manually drive by itself was a little bit daunting. Like it took some time to get used to, and even sometimes now I can tell you there are some positions where these class 3, 4, 5 trains really go to speed, and it's sometimes even like coming up to say one good place, which obviously isn't open yet publicly, is when the trains go from Whitechapel to Stratford or Stratford to Whitechapel. There's quite an incline up to the sort of Pudding Mill Lane portal, where the train will like come up from the tunnels and come to Stratford platform. There is a transition signal there just before the tunnel stops being a tunnel, where the train would like come out of the tunnel, come out of CBTC, and then would manually like it will still keep going in CBTC into Stratford, but that's where it joins network rail infrastructure. You have line side signals, etc. There is the first line side signal we have. If that signal is at red, and because it's going up on an incline, the ATO, the CBT system will propel the train at such a speed to this red signal, because obviously it doesn't do it nice and smoothly like how a driver would if they needed to creep up to a signal. It literally shoots you up to 30 miles per hour and then goes hard on the brakes, and then obviously uses the gradient, the incline, and stops you just about bang on the signal. But trust me, when the first few times I've done that, and even now when I still do it, I don't do it a lot because there's not a lot of jobs that I do that. I would take a train out past Stratford. There's only many ECS sort of kind of moves now that kind of do that. But let me tell you, I still clench my butt cheeks. I still clench my butt cheeks when it comes up to that signal, because let me tell you, it goes so fast, and it kind of goes against everything you get taught as a driver, and the sort of feel that, like, oh my god, I'm literally rushing up to a red signal. But the CBTC ATO system doesn't care. It knows where its endpoint is. It will use as much brake or as much power, as much like traction to, you know, propel up to the signal. It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't care. It knows where its endpoint is, and it will stop at any means, and it knows that it will stop. But it's still really kind of awkward to watch as a driver, if that makes any sense. It's still really, really awkward to watch as a driver and sit there and just see this red signal, like, approaching, and like the train speeding up. But that's my little sort of kind of taste of when I'm in real life kind of driving at like ATO on the Elizabeth line. But look at that, look at how it just brakes so fast, it's crazy. As we enter Kenning Park. Nice, very nice. Inner and outer service. I don't see in the stations, I don't see that they've added. Okay, so that's all they've done. There's no sort of like PIS boards, but it could have been done simply with just having outer, inner, like, put like train approaching or something as a static image, you know. And these cabs must be so tight. These cabs must be so tight. Oh. There we go. Like, the tightest cab I've ever been on in a train in terms of what I've had to drive is probably a Class 315, but even that, they're really spacious cab. Like, the actual compartment that the driver sits in is quite tight, but everywhere else around the driver is huge. But these cabs look incredibly tight. Like, normally tube trains, like especially the deep level tube trains, their cabs are already quite tight. There we go. As we get to Cessnock. Perfect. Also, door can open, which is nice. So when we like submerge out into the wilderness and we need a little bit of draft in, we can just fling that open, which would be nice. But I like the sort of nice interactions there that you have with some of these stops in Train Sim Classic, where it's nice, you know. Obviously in Train Sim World, it'd be like, oh yeah, I get up and I can just run out of there. Because as you can see, these trains don't have, they do not have cab doors. It's only accessible for a saloon door or the emergency exit door. Well, tell me, you guys, what you think about this DLC. I really kind of like it. I definitely, as I said, I really wanted to bring it to the channel. And I have to say, this ATO system, when it works, it works. I don't have any sort of qualms about it, but it is a little bit fiddly, and obviously you can drive in manual. Maybe in the next video that I do, if you guys would like me to do, if you like me to do another video on this, where I potentially get a better like branding skin, SPT branding skin of for this train, I can come back and revisit and maybe do the inner line. The only thing with the noise, which is a little bit annoying, and it's pretty much a train sim sort of like issue, is obviously because it's in a tunnel and it's in an enclosed sort of asset or space, you have that sort of echoey sort of kind of thing with the audio files that just echo all the time, and it just thinks it's in a tunnel all the time. Well, we are in a tunnel all the time, but it just plays the sort of kind of same sort of acoustic sound, which can be a little bit off-putting if you don't like that. But at least the sounds are not... Oh, did I open the doors? I must have opened the doors again for some reason. Yeah, I did. I don't know why. I literally clicked here. Actually, where are even the door buttons? To come to think of it. Yeah, that's really weird. That's really weird, because the door buttons are not... I'm not too sure. Anyway. ATO start. Do another exterior departure. A little toot on the horn. And now, next station will be Govan, and we've now essentially done a loop around doing the outer service. So it's not like a huge map, obviously, like, you know, this is probably sort of type of map that a developer like Dovetail. I don't think this map was made by Dovetail. I might be stand corrected. I don't know if it was... I don't know actually who actually made this map. You can let me know in the comments. But this would be perfect because, like, it's small. There's not a lot of like in terms of like assets and stuff. You're just in tunnels. The only thing is the depot, which is outside. That's the only kind of thing that you have to kind of make detailed. And the rest is just the stations. And because they're quite small, there's not really much to go. Right. Govan. I love that compressor sound. I do love that compressor sound, guys. Sit in the that little vent of the it's normally with a compressor you would have a compressor go, and then you also have a escape valve for moisture. Normally attached with the I don't know if this unit probably it did sound like it, but normally most trains have the sort of main compressor that pumps into the main reservoir, but then also you have a little escape valve for moisture. Okay, get the ATO start. There we go, perfect. Yeah, you have attached with the main compressor you have a little like it's like an air dryer kind of. It's like you have an air dryer attached, so it collects all the kind of moisture that collects at the base of like the main reservoir tank or whatever. Because obviously when you compress air and in different sort of like atmospheric conditions or whatever, you would get a bit of moisture building up in the actual tanks of the main res. So that obviously needs to be vented out because you don't want your main reservoir like the whole train kind of filling up with water, and obviously then the air will, if there's more liquid that takes precedent in that sort of system, then your air becomes a bit less, less effective. So I have a little system, little air dryer, little kind of escape valve that vents all the sort of extra moisture that gets collected out, and it sounds really cool. And some of like the 315s that you drive sound really nice. And this, I could probably hear it there when it's shut off, or it just could be like a shut off valve for the main compressor that I'm hearing. But either way, both sound pretty cool. Oh, that's so nice. Whatever that valve is, the cut-off valve or something like that, whatever I'm hearing sounds very nice. Can I? Ooh. Oh, I can open this door. Wow. Now how do I close it? Oh, okay. We have a little bit of some passengers on board. Oh, and there's actually a window there. I'm guessing it's probably like tinted, isn't it? Probably. That's nice. Good interactability. Emergency brake here. Any of these switches do anything? Nope, we're not in. Not that train sim worldy. Right. And ATO start. As we depart Patrick again for the second time. As you can see, look at that lighting. It gives. I don't know if you guys can see in the YouTube video, but on my screen, with a good monitor, the lighting is good enough where I can see a good distance of the track ahead. I'm not seeing everything, because realistically, you wouldn't be seeing everything, but you're seeing a good amount where it's not just pitch black right in front of you. That's one of the gripes I have with Train Sim World. Like some of the tunnel stuff, it's just not fun to sit in. But then again, I have to actually, one thing I do need to do, I'm going to be doing a video on the Bakerloo line on Train Sim World 2. It'll probably be one of my, it probably will be the last Train Sim World 2 video before Train Sim World 3 comes out, if I manage to record it in time, because I've gotten some early access to record and have a look at Train Sim World 3 before it comes out. And I'm going to be like trying to record some content for the release of it. But I want to record one last video kind of in Train Sim World 2, and probably that would be it, the sort of like the Bakerloo line to do that. Okay, we can sit back in the driver's seat, I think. Maybe let's have a little gander on in this sort of camera position. There we go. It's like a fly on the wall sort of position. But even the detail in the tunnel is quite nice, like the metalwork here, or whatever the, I don't know if that's like the sort of I don't know, like cabling and stuff like that. The kind of like metal toppings on it, with the rivets and the bolts look good. The track itself looks really nice. Like there's a nice, good kind of like sort of almost rust, or like, you know, like sort of like browning, and you can tell where the actual rail's been kind of used on. Overall, I'm very much do like this route, and I'll leave the link down below if you want to check it out on Steam. I would say I would recommend it if you want to have... Oh, can open a little bit of window, even though it won't make much of a difference because I'm hearing so much sound anyway. But I would definitely recommend this route and the train. It's a cute little thing to play on, and definitely if you're like someone that's into trains, and you definitely, like, say if you live in Glasgow and Scotland, you've ridden this before, it's a very nice little kind of representation of it. And even if you're someone like me that's never ridden it and you want to kind of have a little flavour of how it is to drive, or like what it looks like in the tunnels, it's, I'd just say, really nice. I have a feeling I'm doing this ATO procedure all wrong, but it's working out for me. It's stopping the train perfectly. I feel like I'm sort of driving it as well, because I'm having to put it into a position to gain power, and then I'm having to shut off so it won't cancel the auto braking. But someone will tell me in the comments down below what I'm doing wrong, or even if maybe I'm doing it right. I don't know. But it's working out for me. I'm driving the train. We're stopping at every stop. I don't know if we're running to time. I think we are, because we're getting all ticks. We've not gotten any X's, or maybe there's just not a strict timetable on this. Yeah, we have Kelvin Bridge, St George's Cross, Carcadons, Buchanan Street, St Enoch, Bridge Street, West Street, Shields Road, Kinning Park, Chestnut, Ibrox, and Go Van left. But yeah, the spacing between these stations is very small. Oh, then the actual passengers statically change. Do you see that? Oh, I've never seen that in Train Sim Classic before, where you actually have sort of dynamic static kind of assets of passengers, where once you open the doors, some people get off, some people come on, but it obviously there's no like actual moving, you know, animated passengers like say in Train Sim World. But oh, I did not know that. That's really cool. Because I was noticing every time I looked into the passenger view, something was a bit different with the kind of, like, the amount of people, the types of people that I was looking at were different. So that's actually, I have to say, that's quite a nice touch. I didn't even know if that was a thing that's been happening on some certain routes or whatever, like, you know, in the past in Train Sim. But that, you know, for what it is in this game with this graphics engine and however you can like code stuff into this game, that's like a really nice touch, and it kind of visually makes the game a little bit more dynamic on, say, like a route like this where you would be getting a lot of people. So if I keep it in shunt, will it stop? I don't want to test this out because I don't want to overshoot a station. But I have a feeling that maybe in parallel it overrides, but then in series or shunt, the auto brake will kick in. I really don't want to test this theory because I could, maybe at the next station, maybe at Calcaden, I'll leave it in shunt. Because the thing is, if I leave it in shunt now, and if I press auto brake, auto start, will it just go to the speed? Or will it just, yeah, okay, so in shunt, it's not a cap speed, it will just accelerate really slow up to the top speed from what I'm seeing. So now I want to see if it will actually brake and stop in the correct position, or if it will keep only up to the sort of shunting speed, if that makes any sense. And then I will intervene with maybe an emergency brake if we look like we're gonna overshoot. I love that. It factors in all the sort of speed changes and stuff like that, which is really nice. I'm guessing we're like here on a sort of like sharp, yeah, a little bit of a sharp corner. Approaching Calcaden. Alright, here is the test, guys. Will it slow down? Okay. Okay. Okay, so it will. So I could just leave it in shunt. I've been lied to my whole life, essentially. Oh, by the way, the PA button.
Next stop, Buchanan Street.
Oh my god, I was this many days old when I realized that the PA works, because I fiddled around with this.
Buchanan Street, next stop.
Oh, so when I tried this in the tutorial, when I pressed it, it just did like a little static sound, so I thought it was just like one of those things where, oh, it's just put it in the simulator just so you can press it and pretend that you're doing a PA. I didn't actually think it had manual announcements. Now that changes the whole damn game. Oh, I feel really sorry now. I've not been doing my I've not been doing the PAs and the announcements. I'm really sorry, guys. Forgive me.
Bridge Street, next stop.
That makes this map even more worth it. And I know there's going to be comments now. I can tell. I'm going to publish this video, and I know most of you don't, like some of you, the dedicated fans that get up to this sort of like part of the video. Hi, how you doing? It's lovely to see you here again as always. Pleasure that you're here with me and you love to watch throughout the whole segment of the video. Really appreciate it. But there's going to be the majority of people that sign off at 10 minutes or whatever, or even 5 minutes, or even 2 minutes. But there's going to be a plethora of comments going, Qwerty, there's announcements, right? There's an announcements, Qwerty. Why are you not doing the announcements? But they're not obviously going to get to this part of the video. So maybe I'll get to what I'm thinking about at the end of the video. But for those of you that are in this, have gotten to this part of the video, hello, and there will be something for you to comment at the end, so I know that you're, stuck it out this far with me. Right.
Next stop, Buchanan Street.
Oh, that is so nice. That is really nice. I'm like, this is just me being bad and not reading the manual. But I'm just a get in, do it sort of person. Like, if I need to read the manual, and there's been a lot of stuff that I've done on the channel where I have had to read the manual. But I didn't think this would be too much of a complicated route. Obviously with the ATO, that's another thing where probably I should have read the manual and should have read, oh, you keep it in shunt, or you keep it in a certain position for the traction brake controller, and ATO work swimmingly. But, doesn't matter. We're 50 minutes in, I'm finding out things 50 minutes in, it doesn't matter, that's the whole thing.
St Enoch, next stop.
St Enoch? Does he even say it?
St Enoch, next stop.
St Enoch? Enoch? That sounded a bit weird.
Next stop, St Enoch.
It's like he's almost he's inflicting the Enoch. There's like a bit of like I just thought it was St Enoch. But there's a bit more that he's adding to that. I don't know if it's the official sort of voice announcer on the train.
Next stop, St Enoch.
Or maybe drivers do manual announcements. I'm not even sure. Probably is there an automatic announcer on these trains?
Bridge Street, next stop.
Okay, so there's no this is St Enoch. It's just either next stop is St Enoch, now approaching it, yeah, it's only just next station kind of thing. Now, one thing I've not noticed is I've not noticed any of the modern stations, because I think in real life the actual network got a bit of refurbishment to the actual stations, where some of them were divided a bit better with glass panel walls on some of the kind of island platforms, where they extended some of the they made kind of two separate platforms instead of a small island kind of platform that most of these sort of old stations are still. Right.
Next stop, Bridge Street.
Bridge Street next door. I think it's at is it Ibrox? I think it's Ibrox is the one that has there's a few stations I think that got sort of a refurbishment, or sort of kind of extended platforms, or some platforms restricted, or kind of cornered off with some glass kind of fencing, walling, kind of railing kind of thing. But I've not seen that yet. Or maybe this route is set in a pre-refurbishment, rebrand kind of days.
Next stop.
Good audio on the sliding metal framed windows. I do believe after we get to Govan, do we? I think we drive out of the depot. I thought this scenario had a thing where we drive from the depot to into the system, but it just spawned me straight away at Govan, so I assumed not. Now that I found out that it works in shunt, maybe I should just leave it in series or parallel. But then I feel that's... I don't know if it's a risk I want to take. If I read the manual, I would know, but... I don't know if that's an extra thing. To be honest, I like the sort of slow, gradual, you know, takeoff speed. Even though I know these units in real life, like, you know, tube stock just shoots off the line. It doesn't care about a gradual sort of, like, you know, acceleration profile. Right, West Street. This is your outer circle service to out of circle. We'll just keep going in an infinite loop, and then I guess drivers get relieved at Govan, I assume, and it just go round and round in a circle. And those lucky drivers that start in the morning or finish late in the evening, they would then have the pleasure of going outside or taking a train in the outdoors, and you know what I mean. That release valve sound, it's just... And the flanging, yes, this chef's kiss basically. Like, it's like really, like, for me in simulators, it's just very simple little things that really just tick the boxes for me in my head. It doesn't have to be exactly one-to-one, you know, everything, you know, correct in the, like, it doesn't have to be that. Like, you know, I'm not expecting simulator, no simulator really is crazy accurate, crazy good. You have, like, simulators that are really good for physics, you know, like, you know, are used in industry where they have to simulate the actual physical and, you know, whatever they need to simulate for the profession that someone's doing, like a pilot in a, you know, in a plane simulator. But graphically, it's not going to be crazy good. They're just going to have the sort of, you know, basic graphics of an airport, of some scenery, but the graphics are not going to be one-to-one. You have some games where some of the graphics are sort of one-to-one, but then the actual experience is not as good because the actual fundamental kind of functions are not there. Like, it's just, you can't get like a sim, like, you can't get one-to-one. You cannot get life for life in a game. Like, we're not there yet. For me, a simulator like that will capture the actual essence of something would be, you know, in VR, but like we're talking about something like Ready Player One sort of level. If you've not watched the movie, really good movie, you should watch it. Ready Player One sort of level of, like, you get immersed into a world where things are like, you can touch things, do whatever, and that's where you could go onto a train, touch the train, the controls, feel everything. But we're in the year 2000 and what was it, 2022. It will probably be, I don't know when we'll get to a point where you can actually go into some sort of, like, you know, almost like Matrix like kind of situation where then you can actually simulate things. But right now, where we are with our sort of pedestrian and archaic sort of simulations of nowadays, you know, it's just the little things for me that do it, and just when I hear those little things, when I see those, interact with those little things, I'm like, oh, that's a nice touch. That's the kind of thing that ticks it off for me. Is like, oh, the simulator's done a nice job. But I can't be too harsh. Like this, I've not played. Like I'm telling you right now, I've not played a simulator in all the simulation games that I've played. I've not really played anything that I'm like, oh my god, wow. It's more the little moments that I take to heart in a simulator game. It's the little things that remind me of something in real life that I'm like, oh, I love that. I love hearing that. I love clicking that. I love flicking that. I love moving that. Like, it's those kind of things in a simulator that that's where like it sparks something in my mind. I don't know if it does it for anyone else, like when they play like a simulator. But that's my sort of in-brain look at how I think about and how I play, or what I think about when playing a simulation game. Because you have to have standards, you have to have expectations, because, you know, obviously, like, the thing is, I'll tell you that in my time playing simulator games, I still remember to the day when I think it was when I started playing some sort of train game, before even Train Sim, before Rail Simulator, but we're going really way back now. One of the first games I played that involved like a train. I can't remember what it's called, but it was one of these web browser simulator games where they used actual video footage, the cab ride video footage, and they tailored it so that you can control the cab footage video, as in that you're like driving the train from the cab footage video. And to me, that blew my mind. Like when I don't know how old I was, probably like 6, 7, or 8. And that to me blew my mind. I was entranced. But the simulator itself was god-awful. Like the graphics of the cab were just like cartoony. But what I was looking at outside of the cab was like real-life footage. It was obviously not as good because it was like full 80p quality sort of footage. But I could see, like, obviously that it was just so simple. But like something clicked in my head. I was like, oh my god, it feels like I'm really driving a train. Or like I'm in the sort of experience of driving a train because I can actually see real things with this like footage. And it's similar like here now, look, we're however so many decades on, and I'm sitting in a simulator and I'm just hearing something, and I'm just like reminding me of the things that I hear. And then obviously in the kind of career that I do as an actual train driver, I'm probably best suited to just kind of experience things in a simulator and kind of relate that, oh, that's nice because I hear that in my actual day job. But yeah, sorry, I kind of went off on a little bit of a tangent there. I do apologise, but I thought it was kind of nice to mention. Right, Ibrox. Now I think Ibrox is the station that I was thinking of that actually got sort of refurbished. And if I get, because I can't actually remember from the actual first kind of round of the outer service that we did, if it was refurbished or not. But we'll see now when we get to it. I think I would have remembered it, but I think then this sort of map is probably set pre all of the sort of SPT sort of rebrand and refurbishments of stations. But it would be interesting to see if they include like the Stadler stock for this game in the future, because obviously we have the map, and maybe they do like an updated map with yeah. So see here, I think in this station in real life they closed off this. They kind of walled this part of this. They walled off this part of this island platform to obviously make it a bit more safer with like sort of like a glass wall. Or like a glass fencing. Obviously this is still sort of like pre-refurbishment days where it was still just an island platform. I don't know if they even released doors on both sides before that in that sort of era. But still nice, you know. Right. Oh, I'm forgetting to do the...
Next stop, Ibrox.
Well, we are at Ibrox, so next stop will be...
Ibrox, next stop.
Okay, well, we need to get going, and then it'll be like Govan, next station, Govan.
Ibrox next stop.
Okay, it still thinks it's Ibrox next station.
Ibrox next stop.
It's not Ibrox next stop, it's Govan.
Next stop, Ibrox.
No, it still thinks it's Ibrox. And the only one part of the map that has a junction or set of points or something. Oh man, the sound actually sounds so good when it goes over these sort of like points and stuff.
Next stop, Ibrox.
It's not Ibrox. It's not Ibrox. It's Govan.
Ibrox next stop.
Oh my god. There we go.
Ibrox next stop.
Still thinks it's Ibrox, wow.
Ibrox next stop. Next stop, Ibrox.
No, it's full EPIS. Get this unit out of service now. I don't think, do we? No, I don't think we actually, I don't think we can. We can shunt the other way back to depot, but I don't think the scenario actually has it. No, it is unfortunately scenario complete. I'll definitely give a thumbs up for that one. That was actually really nice. I hope you guys enjoyed. Oh, it's the 1980 DM. Whatever that is. It doesn't really matter. It's just the Glasgow Subway stock. There's not like, I don't know what the new one's going to be called. Maybe it's going to be called whenever it comes into service 2023 DM or something like that. I'm not too sure. Anyway, guys, I really hope you enjoyed my little sort of run around doing 2 loops of the outer service on the Glasgow Subway for Train Simulator Classic. It was definitely a route I wanted to do. Thank you for Dovetail for supplying me a key for the Dovetail Ambassador Program. Appreciate it. Tell me, guys, what you think about it. Do you enjoy this route and the train and driving on it? Like, I thought it was a nice bit of fun. The sounds I really do like, and just generally like the look and feel of the route is really nice. I actually thoroughly enjoyed that. I thought it was a great little run. Not the biggest route, but obviously it's just a little contained system, one of the oldest subways in the world. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed this Train Simulator Classic video. Let me know if you want to see anything else specifically. I have some ideas of what I want to do in Train Sim Classic, but I know there's a lot more stuff out there in terms of payware, freeware. I definitely need to refreshen up my directory of Train Sim Classic and get a little bit more with the times of what's actually currently being played. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Other than that, I will leave it here. Again, link for the Glasgow Subway will be down below if you want to check it out on Steam. I would definitely pick this up in like a sale or something. I would recommend it. And definitely if anyone lives near Glasgow, in Glasgow, or wants to, or it's been on it and really wants to, like, you know, have a play around, or even people that have not been on it. I've never been on a Glasgow Subway and I've already enjoyed my little sort of run around it. And the ATO system, when it works, is actually quite a nice sort of thing to use. Again, something I found out today that I didn't actually think there was an ATO system on this kind of like Glasgow Subway, but you learn something new every day. Guys, have a lovely day. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.